Well, hello there, everyone. Yes, I know. Again, my retardedness is on a Sunday. I know. I just can't win. But hey, it's out nonetheless. Sunday, Saturday, it's done. um, so that being said, as obviously I didn't post on Friday, I don't have any real updates. It's just frustration stuff with getting appointments and referrals, blah blah blah. So yeah, um, but today I want to talk a bit more about CMT or Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. I still can't get over that name; it's so bizarre. Um, I mean, it sounds totally made up. That's why I never say it the name. I just say CMT disease. Anyways, the reason why I kind of want to talk about it more is so I think I made mention of this before, but I joined a Facebook group for people who have CMT disease. Um, while obviously, yes, I still don't have it confirmed. Um, I am sadly still waiting to see what the UCLA doctors are gonna do with my insurance being butt heads and stonewalling. Anyways, that aside, with the group, so with my pain specialist, they told me, well, they and I'm pretty sure my mom's uh, neurologist, who I'm not really fond of, um, both had said that CMT is caused by different things, like just about anything, like leukemia or chemo or Sjogren's or other things, and so I thought it wasn't a genetic thing per se. I was just under their wordage and thought, oh, it's something you can develop and anyone can get. But in this Facebook group, we all often ask, oh, I deal with this. Is this a CMT thing? Does anyone else deal with this? Blah blah blah. I don't remember the exact question, but I had made a comment saying, oh yeah, I dealt with this before I got CMT, so I don't know how that helps. But anyways, and then someone replied to it and said, "Oh, CMT isn't something you get; it's something you're born with. It's a genetic thing. So it's not something you just got. It's something you've always had." And I didn't know that, and I was just like, "Did I know that?" That was my first thought. Did I know that? I just literally am forgetting everything now. But I don't know. But either way, I was just like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And they're like, yeah, if I were you, I'd stop seeing that doctor ASAP. And I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. They are no longer in business, I guess. So there you go. Um, Speaking of which, the pain specialist, which dropped me because they're, you know, closing up shop, as they put it. I don't know if that's fully true. Because I got a letter from my insurance the other day, um, and they actually gave a reason why they no longer can take Gold Coast patients, and that's because they no longer met the requirements that Gold Coast, which is my health insurance, um, placed that says you need to have all these requirements met, or we won't. You can't carry this insurance and take patients. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I wonder if that was a deliberate thing, or like they don't want to take those patients anymore. Which I don't know. I can't see why. I'd imagine um, they have a lot of business from that insurance group, but I mean, and my insurance always approved everything through them. There was no, you know, due process or anything. It was just like, oh, he needs this done, approved, does it, whatever. I just thought it was an interesting fact. Anyways, back to CMT. So the whole with being a genetic thing, which is interesting because I didn't know that, and now I'm trying to recall different things, and it's like, geez, man, it's so hard still because it's like EDS is something you're born with, and actually I didn't really have a lot of I don't know how. I still don't know how some of these things really work, and I know a lot. Even the doctors who study these things are still figuring things out. But EDS is something you're born with, but yet I don't remember having. Like, I know I had double jointedness, as a kid, but it was nothing like I had when I was diagnosed with it. Like, I don't remember being able to do some of these things that I was able to do before I got all this freaking arthritis. But yeah, I don't remember problems with like joints popping out or dislocating. I don't know. It's like something trigger it, kind of like bipolar. I know that's a mental thing, but I mean you can have bipolar, but until something triggers it, it doesn't like come out. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. But anyways, I'm just like, so how do you? It's like hard to distinguish now. Like, what's EDS? Witness over the years, or what's CMT, or is it both? Is there crossover? I'm sure there's some crossover. But anyways, it's pretty interesting, and so I'm really grateful though for that group because it's not like your typical type of group. Like I've been in EDS group before, and it was good for a while, but then they kind of started to kind of be not so nice to each other, so I left. And I haven't really found another one since. Not that I've like actively looked, but anyways, what's cool about this one is it actually has like really cool admins or moderators that post all this great information and actual factual stuff and like links like, oh, if you want to pay for your own genetic testing, here's how to do it and who to go through. I think there might even be like one of them consults with a doctor that's like with this, knows about this stuff, or is a doctor. I don't know exactly, but it's pretty amazing actually. It's one of the best Facebook groups I've ever been in. So I'm really impressed with it, and just the people there, they're very caring and helpful and welcoming, and so it was really amazing to be a part of it, and just I can ask any question, if I have concern or just curiosity type thing, and I know several people have asked questions too and such, and one of the recent ones is has anyone have any like ingrown nail or toenail and or fingernail issues? And I don't know much about like ingrown nails or how much anyone can get them or what causes them, etc. Haven't really bothered to look that up because it was never a big deal, and it still really isn't. But when someone asked that question, and I started seeing everyone comment, "Oh yeah, I have all kinds of, infections or ingrown toenails or fingernails," and I was like, "Oh, interesting." So, for me, gosh, I can't remember how young that was, but I want to say somewhere like in the late teens, maybe. I'm not really 100% sure, but I want to say somewhere around there. I also then started having my big toenails. They started becoming ingrown and got infected, and so then I went to a normal doctor, primary doctor or whatever, and actually they took their infection, but then they had to send me to a foot specialist, and then I went to see him, and first thing he did was he cut out the excessive toenail that causing the pain and the infection. And then he waited and said, okay, now let's wait and see if it grows back. And lo and behold, my luck, it grew back. So this time, then he cut the same amount off, but then he put this chemical that in the open area where the extra toenail section was growing to stop it from growing. But I know you know where this is going. Surprise, surprise, it grew back. And so then that's when he referred me to another foot specialist who's dealt with this. Oh, wait a second, I missed a step. So first before he sent me to that specialist, sorry, it's been a while, he actually then removed the entire toenails and then put the chemical everywhere, where the cuticles, I think they're called, grow, and where they shouldn't be growing. And then, yep, it grew back. And every time it's becoming grown, and it gets infected, and it's so painful. If you've never had one, it is painful. And apparently, your toes, your big toes, have one of the most amount of like nerves in one area. And so if you've ever been stabbed in your toe for whatever reason, and it hurts like yeah, that's why. Trust me, I've had several needles in my toes. Like it was so painful the first time. Well, I mean, every time it was, but the very first time, I literally ripped into the guy's arm chair. I literally made whole claw marks in the fabric. It was bad. Anyways, when he sent me to basically a surgeon specialist foot doctor, he again then tried his own little, let's remove the whole thing again, and I don't remember what he tried differently, but he tried something. So that didn't work. Surprise, surprise. So he then booked for me to have surgery, and essentially what he does is he removes, of course, the whole toenail, and then he actually removes surgically the part, like I said, I think they're called the cuticles. I don't really know, I forget. Anyways, he removes the entire section of stuff that actually regrows the nail. So therefore the nails can no longer regrow and no longer become ingrown. Yeah. So in case you're wondering what that looks like, no, I'm not going to show you. I'm not really proud of it. Not that it's like too ugly, it's just not pretty either, not something I care to share. You can look it online, I'm sure there's several pictures of others on there. Anyways, it's basically you just have skin, this really hard, thick skin that grows in its place. And it kind of mimics a toenail, a really weird one. But yeah, so there's that. And apparently I guess that's a CMT thing. I am sure it's a whole lot of other things maybe too. But considering especially the craziness process that I had to go through and actually had to have them physically removed permanently, it's definitely a CMT thing. It's funny when I mentioned that in my Facebook group, so many people were like mortified by that. Like, oh my gosh, like mine just comes and goes. I've never had to have that done, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I'm pretty used to being like having things happen that most people or doctors are like, what? It's kind of like I'm like proud of it in a weird way. I know it's not stuff you should be proud of, but hey, I gotta be proud of something, right? So I'm proud of my weird body and its weird things that even doctors are like, the heck? What? Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah, I also get like fingernail, like mostly my middle fingers. They'll occasionally hurt like on this, just on this one side. Like it feels like the nail is kind of growing in a little bit to the into the skin, and so it's painful. And it's like that for maybe like a week, two at most, and then it just stops. No idea why, but it does. And then maybe a month, week, I don't know. It just varies, and then it comes back and goes away. It comes back and goes away. It's very weird. And the newer things I was having is these two index fingers. Randomly, they would get wicked hot for a few days, and then all of a sudden this like little like pus filled, not really pus, but like a discharge filled hard shell appears, like it was infected, and then it's dispelling it and healing. Yeah, it's weird. It's only happened twice, but it happened first on this one and then on this one. Just kind of bizarre, but apparently other people have that in my group. So like just learning new things about CMT, and I know it's like any other disease or genetic um, thing where there's a wide variety of things that happen throughout the numerous different people that have it, you know. But it's just always fascinating in it, actually, in just a curiosity sense. The different things that I've been learning about. Oh, this is actually CMP related. I'm sure it could also be one of the other blah 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 things I have related to. Who knows? But it's just interesting, and I'm just really grateful for that group. And that's that kind of thing is why I really honestly started this channel. Is because I want to bring awareness to not just people who have these issues like me, but to those who don't, those who are healthy and don't understand uh, people like me and others with these illnesses, and in particular the invisible illnesses that you can't see. Um, I mean, if you didn't know me and you looked at me, you would think I'm just a normal guy, you know, probably healthy other than the fact that I'm, overweight. Um, but it's so far from that. And so that's what I wanted to do is, try to grow this channel um, to impact people and just help them know, hey, telling us things like just suck it up, or it's all in your head, or walk it off, or whatever junk I've had people say to me or other individuals like me. And just to, try to make a community out of that. And, and if nothing else, this is good for me because, I mean, it, like I've said before, my memory is gone downhill since I've been sick, and it's just constantly going downhill. I notice I'm forgetting more and more things and spacing out more and more. And so, for me personally, these are awesome for me alone, just to have that, video log of everything that's going on with me. I kind of feel like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory in that one episode where he was like making a video journal to himself in case he forgets or something. But yeah, so if nothing else, it's great for me. It's also, for my family and friends that do follow and watch these, it's good for them to know, because like I said, I mean, even my family that I live with, they they don't know a lot of that, what goes on with me, because even if was like in the most worst pain possible, if they said, "Hey, how are you doing today?" I'm fine, would always be my answer, or 9 times out of 10 be my answer. Because I mean, what good is it? I've always said this. What good is it to like if you're at a dentist and it hurts? What good is it to cry about it? Not that there's anything wrong with crying, but it's like, what is crying for me going to do, or for them going to do? It's just going to be annoying, right? I mean, it's pointless in my opinion. I get it, some people can't control it, and that's fine too. I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't see the point about doing that, and so I just, Plus, and I've said this so much. It's really hard for people to really understand, and again, that's partially why I'm making these, is so that they can understand. But obviously, you can only understand so much from people telling you and explaining it to you, because it's like, I will never know what it's like to give birth. I will never understand that pain, right? And it's the same with people who don't have EDS or who don't have CMT or whatever. You really can't truly understand unless you've been through it. And so, that's just my weird outlook on that. And I'm just so used to dealing with the pain and all the BS that I had to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it's just part of who I am now, and I'm mostly okay with it. Honestly, I'm never 100% okay with feeling like crap 24/7. But yeah, so yeah, it is what it is, as I also say. But yeah, so CMT, it's not fun. One of the things, or a few of the things I've also learned is, obviously, like I said before, it's a degenerative disease, and a lot of what I've seen from people in that group is they either are using either a cane or assistive device to help them walk, or some are in wheelchairs. There's some people that can't drive anymore, which I hope that never happens, because that would suck. But yeah, there's just so many unpleasant things that I'm sure are eventually going to happen. Of course, I'm sure there's different severities or variances, like I said before. But one thing I've been wanting to ask that group and I've been kind of stalling on it, because I kind of do and also don't want to know the answer, and that's on average the rate of progression in this disease. And I just don't want to know, because you can understand how depressing that is, especially if they say, well, for me in 5 years I went from being able to walk and drive to in a wheelchair, or being able to having to use a walker or whatever. So it's for that reason I kind of don't want to know, but at the same time I do, just to kind of at the same time kind of like try to prepare for it, try to enjoy the time I have, because I mean, literally all of a sudden I started having this weird muscle wasting in this one part of my hand, and then over the course of a year it went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 or 6 spots that muscle has just is just gone, or lessened, and I'm just like a year, and my left hand and part of my arm is now just permanently damaged, and I've noticed it. I drop things all the time now without noticing it. That's the sad part. Like I'll hold an empty soda can in my hand and I'll be walking it into the kitchen, and next thing I know, I hear the sound of the can hitting the floor, and I'm like, I dropped it, and I had no idea. Happens a lot. I'm noticing all these similar things happening on my right hand. I'm just glad so far I haven't noticed any muscle wasting, and trust me, I'm constantly looking out for that. So yeah, it's not a fun thing to look forward to. I mean, EDS, as sucky as it is, for the most part, I'm able to handle it, but CMT and it being progressive, and all the things that it does, man, it's brutal. And it really sucks too if you think about it, right? I have hypermobility, so my joints easily pop in and out, dislocate, etc. And then you add, before I add that, and with the hypermobility joints, the reason why they're hypermobile is because your ligaments and tendons, which are what helps hold your joints into place, aren't doing that job, and now your muscle has to. Now you see where I'm going with this. Your muscles get deteriorated or wasted away with CMT. Now, granted, it's not everywhere. It's usually your arms and legs, but just think about that. I have crappy knees because of the looseness in them. Like I'll walk, and it was just like, oh, I'm gonna give out, psych, and I almost trip and fall just because my knee goes, Burt, you know. Now you add that with muscle wasting, which is muscle that's holding in the joint, and now it's like lessened. I mean, can you imagine that perfect storm crap fest there? I mean, it's like, it couldn't have been a worse, or I mean, I'm sure there's worse combinations, but that couldn't have been. That's just a horrible combination. Let's just say that. And it's like, so that's the other thing I don't look forward to. But I try not to think about these things too much because, as you can honestly imagine, they're very depressing. But it is what it is. And yeah. So, anyways, I appreciate you guys as always. I'm grateful for those of you that watch my videos, and as always, you're welcome to share them and comment and whatnot. And I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.